Imagine a city so large, so powerful, so breathtakingly beautiful that visitors from Western Europe wept when they first saw it. While the rest of Europe stumbled through the Dark Ages, one city kept the flame of civilization burning. This is Constantinople, in the year 550 AD, at the absolute height of its power. To understand Constantinople, you first have to understand its scale. At its peak under Emperor Justinian, the city held over 500,000 people. London, at the same time, had perhaps 10,000 people. Paris, fewer still. Rome itself had collapsed to a ghost town of 30,000. Constantinople was not just bigger, it was on a different planet entirely. The city was protected by the most formidable defensive walls ever built in the ancient world. Nearly 6 kilometers of layered stone, moat, and tower, engineered to be simply impossible to breach. They would hold for over 1,000 years. No army breached them by force until 1453. At the heart of Constantinople lay a complex of buildings that had no equal anywhere on Earth. The Hippodrome, a chariot racing stadium seating 100,000 people. On race days, the entire city flooded into this arena. Citizens cheered for the Blues and the Greens, chariot racing factions that were as much political parties as sports teams. These rivalries could, and did, erupt into citywide riots that killed tens of thousands. And directly beside the Hippodrome stood a building that changed the history of architecture forever. The Hagia Sophia, completed in 537 AD, the largest enclosed space on Earth for nearly 1,000 years. When Emperor Justinian first entered the completed building, he reportedly said, "Solomon, I have surpassed thee." But Constantinople was not just monuments and emperors, it was a living, breathing city. The city's markets were unlike anything in the Western world, organized by trade into dedicated districts. Silk, spices, glassware, ivory, grain, all moving through the world's greatest trading hub. Constantinople controlled the single narrow waterway connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Every ship passing between those two seas paid a toll to Constantinople. The wealth this generated was almost incomprehensible. The city had running water, underground cisterns holding tens of millions of gallons, public bathhouses rivaling anything Rome had built, hospitals caring for the sick, orphanages for abandoned children. The Byzantine state ran what was arguably the world's first organized welfare system. Citizens ate well. The city was supplied by grain fleets from Egypt, a supply chain that fed 500,000 mouths daily. Bread was distributed free to registered citizens, a tradition inherited directly from Imperial Rome. After their bread, many citizens would spend their afternoon in the baths or at a tavern. Above all of this ordinary life sat the emperor, a figure of almost supernatural authority. Justinian I ruled for 38 years, longer than almost any emperor before or after him. He dreamed of reconquering the lost Western Roman Empire, and for a moment, he almost succeeded. His general Belisarius reconquered North Africa, Italy, and parts of Spain in a campaign of breathtaking audacity. But Justinian's ambitions were matched by an equal genius for administration, law, and building. His legal code, the Corpus Juris Civilis, would become the foundation of legal systems across all of modern Europe. And beside him, shaping policy, advising on theology, managing the empire's finances, stood his empress, Theodora, born to a bearkeeper in the Hippodrome, risen to rule half the world. Religion was not separate from Constantinople. It was the city's beating heart. The Patriarch of Constantinople was second only to the emperor in authority, and sometimes challenged even that. Constantinople was home to hundreds of churches. No neighborhood was more than minutes from a place of worship. The city was also a place of fierce theological argument. Debates about the nature of Christ could empty the markets and fill the streets. One 4th century writer complained that even the bread sellers argued about the nature of the Trinity while making change. The city's university, one of the oldest in the world, taught philosophy, law, medicine, and rhetoric. Manuscripts from across the ancient world, Greek philosophy, Roman history, Egyptian mathematics, were preserved here when nowhere else cared. But beneath the gold and marble, Constantinople carried its own shadows. In 541 AD, a plague arrived from Egypt aboard a grain ship. The plague of Justinian would kill perhaps 25 million people across the empire, and 10,000 a day at its peak in Constantinople alone. Justinian himself contracted the plague and survived, but the empire never fully recovered. The conquests in the west could not be held, the treasury emptied, the army thinned. Yet Constantinople itself endured for another 9 centuries. Constantinople was the bridge between the ancient world and everything that came after. The Roman law it preserved became European law. The Greek texts it copied fueled the Renaissance. The art, the architecture, the theology, all of it flowed westward as the Byzantine world contracted, seeding the civilization we call the West. The next time you stand in a European court of law, look at a Renaissance painting or walk into a great domed cathedral. You are standing in the shadow of Constantinople. If you want to see more lost cities brought to life, subscribe. There's so much more to show you.